Jaden O'Neal has committed to Florida State. Let's talk about what that means for the Seminoles and how Oklahoma continues to supply quarterbacks to Florida State. What's up, kinfolk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. If this is your first time watching Adapt and Respond, thank you for joining us here. We talk college football year round. If that is something you're into, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, like this video, and answer the question in the comments below. Do you think Jaden O'Neal is going to be starting quarterback at Florida State given 2-3 years' time? Okay, I think it's an honest question to ask. I'm also going to remind you that we have a podcast on Apple and Spotify, audio podcast on Apple and Spotify. And for those of you that are kind enough to go ahead and give us a 5-star review and leave reviews on Spotify and Apple, go ahead and hit that form in the description below, and I will send you one of these stickers personally with a thank you note from me, because it means that much to me that you are taking the time to go find all of that. I have been here of recent trying to give other people 5-star reviews, and it is quite the intrusive process on both Spotify and Apple. So if you're willing to do that, I want to tell you thank you. So go ahead, do that. Give me the 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, and then fill out the form in the description, and I'll send you the sticker. Jaden O'Neal commits to Florida State just a couple of days after decommitting from Oklahoma. This is fresh off the heels of Bowe Bentley committing to Oklahoma, off the heels of Jaden O'Neal decommitting from Oklahoma in the 2026 class. I know it's a lot of moving and shaking, but that's that time of year where guys are committing, and we're seeing if there's a flip to happen, it's happening. Jet Tomala flipped from Iowa State to Alabama earlier this week at Elite 11. Bowe Bentley showed out at Elite 11. It was already a quarterback that Oklahoma wanted. It was a quarterback that Oklahoma was pursuing. They were in a heated battle for the blue chip from Salina, Texas to go to LSU or Oklahoma. OU ends up winning out, and Oklahoma is on the good foot on recruiting, and its future looks bright. Florida State, however, is trying to get back to the heights that they had in the 2023 season when they ran through the ACC, and then, of course, they lose Jordan Travis to injury, and down in the dumps they go. I did not expect them to be as bad as they were last year. Nobody did. They were a top 10 team in the AP. I had them number 5 going in preseason. Then DJ Uiagalelei and Florida State just did not play well. 2-10, man. One of the worst falls that I've ever seen in my entire life from a football program that I thought was going to be contending for championships year in and year out. Mike Norvell has to clean out the offensive staff, clean out the defensive staff, and hire his mentor, Gus Malzahn, to run the offense, which is where Jaden O'Neal fits, right? This is a pure passer. This is what Greg Biggins, national recruiting analyst at 247, one of the more respected guys in the industry. I really love Greg. Gave the evaluation of he's the best pure passer in the 26 class. That's what Oklahoma wanted when he was being recruited by Seth Luttrell to run the offense that Jackson Arnold was running last year. He committed in 2024, June last year. He has since decommitted and committed to Florida State within a year. What happened? Quite a bit happened. First, Oklahoma wasn't no good last year, 6-7. Also had to fire Seth Luttrell in October of last year. That's the guy that recruited him. He's running the offense. You go get Ben Arbuckle, who brings in John Mateer. You're running a different kind of offense with a different kind of player back there. You need somebody with a little bit more mobility and not as much of an emphasis on being surgical with the football. That said, Jackson Arnold was not surgical with the football. But this is also on the heels of Kevin Sperry decommitting and signing with Florida State, another Denton Guyer product who led his team to a state championship, who is at Florida State now, a pure passer and a guy with a little bit of mobility. But that's the thing about Malzahn's offense is he needs a guy that can throw the ball deep, and he needs a guy that can get out of harm's way. It's why I think of guys like Nick Marshall when we talk about Gus Malzahn. Of course, everybody thinks about Cam Newton and what he was able to do, but if you have a quarterback that can play point guard, which is I'm going to hit guys with these Jokic-like passes deep down the field, but I'm also going to be able to get my own shot by making linebackers miss, safeties miss, and go get us an easy 7, an easy 8, easy first down, you're going to thrive in Gus Malzahn's offense. Now, they've got a bridge quarterback in Thomas Castellano. I realize that their Florida State fans don't believe this. It's not a dig. It is to say the guys you have behind him, Kevin Sperry, and I'm saying Jaden O'Neal, I think are more talented prospects as passers. Now, Castellano probably more mobile than both of those guys, but if you can pick up chunk plays in the passing game, you ain't got to be all that mobile. You just got to can't take that many sacks. So for Florida State, in a prove-it year, you've been able to go on the warpath and go get a quarterback like Jaden O'Neal. Speaks volumes. I'm also going to remind you, this would be the third school that Jaden O'Neal is playing at in high school, right? He played at a couple of different universities, couple of different high schools. My goodness, RJ, you were struggling this Sunday in California. And then he up and moved to Mustang, Oklahoma, where he is expected to play quarterback. And when he arrived, he was the number one player in the state of Oklahoma. This was the clearest indication that he was committed to Oklahoma. But as soon as he got the Mustang, he took visits to Arizona. I think he took an unofficial to Georgia, and he started flirting with Florida State. But this is kind of after you've already fired the offensive coordinator. You expect him to stay in the boat, and he did. And you've hired a new offensive coordinator that really ain't looking his direction. He's looking at Bowe Bentley's direction, which says all that I need to know if I am Jaden O'Neal and I'm Jaden O'Neal's camp. We need to start finding another place to land. So as soon as it became clear that Bowe Bentley was probably going to try to come, you probably need to tell Jaden O'Neal either A, we're going to bring in another quarterback, or B, your services are no longer wanted here. Meanwhile, he gets to go, okay, I'm a pretty high recruited 3-star quarterback that can do well at another Power 4 university. Let me see where that might be. So he took a visit to Florida State earlier this week, and he ends up committing there this Sunday. Now, I don't really pick a winner or a loser when it comes to quarterbacks committing to this school or that school. I always want to see where we fall, because if we did the whole thing where guys end up flipping commitments or decommitting, Justin Fields would be at Penn State. You know what I mean? We could keep going on about this, right? Like, I could probably pull out some really wild what if this guy stayed committed, or what if this guy didn't flip commits. Sam Howell going to North Carolina, for instance, right? You keep doing this. Drake May going to Alabama and not North Carolina. You could do this all the way down. I don't like to do it because I believe that the recruiting process is still the recruiting process. Yes, name, image, and likeness is a big part of it now, but you still have to commit to play somewhere, especially if you're a high school quarterback. And now that we're seeing 5-star after 5-star commit to A&M, commit to Texas, number one athlete in the country commits to Texas A&M, 5-star edge rusher commits to Texas. That's just over the weekend. I expected this kind of movement. Did I expect it to go the way that it's been going? Absolutely not. No more than anybody else did. However, there were people that root for Oklahoma that have been concerned about Jaden O'Neal and how much he was committed. But, Brent Venables comes from the school of Clemson, which is to say, don't commit to me and then take other visits. Like, that's not what it is. We are going to be bound together. We are in this marriage together. You want to see other people, we need to be divorced so you can do that. And it's come to that. So Jaden O'Neal going to Florida State, I think is a good thing for Florida State. I think you're going to get another guy you can train up, a guy that might be able to compete with Kevin Sperry, given some time, but you got to get on the good foot right away. You have to go win some football games so that Mike Norvell can keep the staff in place keep all these commitments in the boat. I think they're going to be okay. I don't think they're going to be as bad as they were last year. Are they going to compete for an ACC championship? Who could know? Southern Methodist didn't look like a team that was going to compete for the ACC championship at the preseason. All they did was end up getting there and doing enough that they could lose that game and still make the college football playoff, a thing Florida State hasn't done in the Mike Norvell era. Now, they got shafted in 2023, but that's what 2025 is about. It's supposed to be what 2024 is about, showing everybody that you are here to stay. No, turns out it's year to year. In a year where Indiana makes the college football playoff, one of the best teams in the country. Only 2 losses are the 2 teams that played to the national championship. Florida State, garbage. Maybe it could flip this year. Maybe we'll see Florida State come back. But Jaden O'Neal deciding to buy in, that's a very good sign for you.